don't remember exactly when I first learned about Paradise Killer. It must have been on some podcast around its release in early September of 2020. But whoever spoke about it sold me on it. I mentally filed it away under games I need to get back to in 2021. January 2021 rolled around, it went on sale, some synapse in my brain fired off that I wanted it, and oh my god, the music is so good. It blew me away, not only how good the soundtrack was, but how it fit in with the gameplay perfectly. I liked it so much, I bought the soundtrack the very first Bandcamp Friday that I could. I always had some rhythm from it stuck in my head. I mulled over how it probably made the game as good as it was. But I didn't know why. I didn't know how. What did Paradise Killer, The Sounds of Paradise, do that so many other games don't? But first, let's talk a little bit about the game Paradise Killer. So this group, the Syndicate, is attempting to revive the gods while living on a series of islands called Paradise. 3 million days ago, Lady Love Dies, your player character, was banished to the Idle Lands as punishment for being deceived by a malicious god. Gods being telepathic beings from galaxies across the universe, naturally. However, just as the Syndicate was preparing to move its members from Island 24 to the quote-unquote perfect 25, the entire leadership was murdered. The embodiment of justice declares Lady Love Dies' banishment over and brings her back to Paradise to find the perpetrator. It's all very straightforward, really. Now, even just here, I gave more background info than the game itself does. And I love stuff like that. There's so many proper nouns and alluded to events that get no explanation until much, much later in the game. All the names are absurd in the best way. See Lady Love Dies, The Witness to the End, Grand Marshal Akiko No. 14, and I thrive learning about convoluted lore and stuff like that. You discover the lore and the mystery by exploring this 3D lowish poly island, finding stuff hidden in and around locations, and of course talking to the murder suspects. Everyone has, for lack of a better term, a really cool vaporwave aesthetic. All the character models are 2D sprites that rotate to face you, and of course the music is top tier funk. Paper Mario: The Origami King is another great game with a phenomenal soundtrack that came out in 2020. Much like every other Paper Mario game, the music is among the best parts and is generally playing the entire time. There's different themes for battles, towns, areas, and minigames. Each song is set as a backdrop to whatever is happening on screen at that moment. Its main use is to evoke a specific emotion to that specific scene. This is how most games operate in terms of score. The platformers like Mario have different tunes per stage, RPGs like Undertale or Final Fantasy have different battle themes, an overworld theme. Games like God of War or maybe Halo have musical elements accompanying cutscenes or battles, with an ambient score set during traversal sections. Each of these soundtracks are good, or even great in their own respect, but all of them are definitively soundtracks meant to mainly enhance the game they accompany. And unless you're a weirdo like myself, you probably wouldn't want to listen to them outside of the game setting. Yes, we're weirdos. Then there are other games that work slightly differently. Games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or Grand Theft Auto act more diegetically. Tony Hawk plays licensed songs as you skate around various locations. GTA has them play when you turn on the car radio. That's not to say these games work exclusively diegetically, but that is how the bulk of the soundtrack is usually experienced. Another note that when video game OSTs are implemented diegetically, they are largely of two types. A song being performed by a character in-game, a la Kentucky Route Zero or maybe Super Mario Odyssey, or it's licensed music from the real world, like Tony Hawk or GTA. This is where Paradise Killer differs, and where I believe it puts it above. As Lady Love Dies walks around the Paradise Island 24, music is piped into her headphones by various in-world satellite towers. While originally the game starts out with a few songs, as you visit more towers, more songs are added to the constantly cycling playlist. And these songs accompany you throughout your adventure. As you talk to suspects, solve puzzles, explore buildings, the list of songs you've acquired is always playing. The main interruption being a day-night cycle jingle that happens around 1700, I think, based off of the song title. Early on, this is a problem, actually. I was very thorough as I played, exploring each area to death before moving on to the next, but each area only has one radio tower, only one new song. The first 4 or 5 songs I had at the beginning of the game gradually grew to be very grating. Hearing the same song over and over and over and... So maybe if you play for yourself, look for the radio towers earlier than I did. But anyway, now I've unlocked a dozen songs. I'm exploring the island, talking to people, reading through case files, just vibing. Every new song fits thematically with the rest, a pleasant effect of having the score written for the game. The music blends in with what I'm doing. It's never distracting when I'm trying to focus on the investigation. But when I'm just walking from one point to the other, or going to Bandcamp to listen to the songs by themselves, every piece is good enough to be entertaining on its own. And that's why I think Paradise Killer is special. The music is perfect for whatever you want it for. If you need something in the background while you focus on whatever else, it's got you. If you need something to entertain you as you walk from one side of the island to the other because you're too cheap to use one of your 50 blood crystals because what if you need them later, it's got you. Want to stand in the shower for an hour because you just cannot today? Don't worry. The sounds of paradise will wash over you like waves as you disassociate from the world. Now, I've neglected to mention before, although you have been listening to it for most of this video, Paradise Killer has a very funky soundtrack, and is, vaporwave inspired. So if that's not your thing, then you absolutely will not like any of this. Also because pretty much all of the songs kinda sound the same. Aside from the main theme, Paradise, Stay Forever, which during the credits gets a really good vocal version, all the songs blend. They all have the same or similar instrumentation, rocking synths, emulated trumpets with the occasional sax solo, and they all jam into a similar tempo. It's hard to really pick out a favorite. I recognize them as they come up, and I definitely like some more than others, but for the most part, it's kinda just recognizing this one's softer, this one's more upbeat. Oh, this one played a lot at the beginning and I haven't heard it in a while. But at a distance, they're all kinda the same. They boil down to just how they feel. But here's the thing. I mean all of this in the best light possible. The songs all sound the same, which enables them to set the exact mood the game wants, no matter what song is on. You're on Paradise, searching for a killer, and the music fits perfectly. Which is why whenever the music stops, it hits all the more. Whenever you take a taxi or enter special parts of the island, you lose access to the diegetic music, and the game feeds you area-based tunes. They feel completely different to the main score, some dark, some grandiose, and it is always an event when they play. The rest of the island is paradise. This place is something else, and I need to pay attention to it. And as mood setters, these tracks do great. Unfortunately, none of them hold up as well upon re-listening. It really feels like they're included in the Bandcamp album because they were in the game, not because they're great to listen to. But they're at the end, so they're really easy to skip. Even though I don't skip them. Again, I'm the weirdo who listens to video game OSTs all the time. All in all, Paradise Killer's use of diegetic music really makes the game. It sets the tone without being distracting, while simultaneously making a soundtrack that is great to listen to at any point after. Of course, none of this is to say that Paper Marios of the world have bad soundtracks. I think overall Origami King's OST is better than Paradise Killer's. But Paradise Killer managed to implement it in such a cool way, and I've never experienced anything like it before. It has certainly earned its place on my phone's music player. And the worst part, neither Paper Mario nor Paradise Killer got Best Soundtrack of 2020. That award went to Nier Automata for the 4th year in a row, closely beating out Bravely Default. Such a shame. Okay, I gotta be honest with you, I like the soundtrack because it has 6 saxophone solos. Anything with a sexy sax will win me over immediately. I don't make the rules. This is the part where I'm supposed to ask you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button, I believe. Is there anything else nowadays? Oh, and follow my Twitter if you want. Maybe I'll even start tweeting again. And if you can, buy Paradise Killer and the soundtrack. They're both very good. Links for all are in the description. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.